Have you seen or spoken about this? What's this? Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, I mean, there's a larger thing I want to talk about, which is that. So Canada went to the UK, a Canadian politician, I want to say Canada, but a Canadian politician is going to the UK to begin talks to explore getting Canada under the British nuclear umbrella because they want nuclear protection from America. Like, they're literally trying to have France and the UK sign a deal that would offer them nuclear protection from their southern neighbor, which is just a truly crazy thought. An absolutely astronomically crazy thought from just 2 years ago. The idea that Canada would have allies ready to nuke America where they get invaded, it's just crazy. I mean, it's like, I would never have thought we'd get here. And what you spoke about is a larger trend of militarization among Europe. So we've talked about the debt break in Germany. Maybe not enough, but we've talked about it. And it's the idea that in Germany, they have a really, really strict rule on government spending, where you can't spend more than a certain amount of GDP in debt. So because of that, Germany has one of the lowest debt levels in all of Europe and all of the world, really. Their debt to GDP is shockingly low for a big Western developed nation. But it's caused issues because they've been very difficult to reinvest in their own infrastructure. Germany has a lot of crumbling roads, crumbling just infrastructure, bridges, ports, power lines. All that stuff is in trouble, and they want to reinvest in it. Well, the debt break just got relaxed for the first time. Well, I don't know if it's passed yet, but they're pushing for it. Today, or yesterday, to do a huge European defense fund. Germany's spending like 500 billion euros, something wild, on a huge remilitarization effort, which of course always ends well. I've never seen a German rearmament that hasn't gone swimmingly for the world, but this is happening. America is an incredible place to be rich, but it kind of sucks to be normal. In lots of Europe, it's less exciting to be rich and harder to get there, but so much more comfortable and stress-free to be normal. My family is French, and I see struggles in France, but no one's sitting on a pile of useless debt like the majority of people around me at my age. Education, medical care, and decent food aren't problems like they are here. I think they both have problematic sides. I'm not trying to both sides it here. I just think it gets painted that way a lot, but they both create stresses and cracks in the system that eventually have to be resolved. I do like France's system, but it's also running into its own challenges. Namely, they have a aging, less productive society that is now falling behind in competitiveness in a lot of things that is eventually going to break down the system that created the wealth that allowed for these social safety nets to begin with. And so things that the government is trying to do to fix that, like raising the retirement age, are causing riots in France. You know, they're causing big problems, and there's no easy way to fix it. Additionally, they also have massive debt. Like, they have their own, the country as well as America has massive debt that the country is now trying to figure out how to pay. You can do it by raising taxes, but if the tax burden falls on regular people, they're already not getting paid as well. So they have their own problems. I don't know the solution here. There's different tactics and they're all running into problems, but I would be careful to frame it as like one side has it figured out. Isn't the militarization of other countries actually not as bad as you think in order to have more? I don't have a thought on it yet. No. Believe me, I'm sort of making a joke about Germany's past tendency to militarize and then cause problems. I'm not saying that'll happen this time. I'm just saying there's a history of that happening. What I think about it in general is that the globe getting more militarized is probably bad. Ideally, we'd all spend less on our military and have no major global conflicts because they all end in death and disaster. And it's also unproductive spending, right? If a country is spending a lot of money on the military, that doesn't actually do anything. You know, it's just you're paying for a missile to blow something up. There's no return on that investment. So you do it because you have to, but it's not a great use of all your money. As Russian economy will tell you right now. What if all conflict were resolved in a game of hockey? Canadian dream. The Canadian dream. This is Trudeau talking to Trump in 2 years as a last-ditch effort. Forget this invasion, just one big game of hockey. It would be funny if it was like Minecraft parkour civilization, but it's like world hockey civilization, and the Canadian Empire just dominates the globe. Just a endless invasion of Canadian hockey players with like a Wayne Gretzky flag. We need some new wars so we can have more new stuff for Call of Duty games to save Activision. I've never thought about that. I never thought about the poor developers at Activision. Can you imagine how fire it's going to be to have a Call of Duty game come out about the war you're currently serving in? Imagine being a Zoomer drafted into World War III, and while you're at the barracks, You get to play the COD for the war that you're in. That's so lucky. No one ever got that before. That's fucking badass. Do you think they'll make a Ukraine versus Russia game? No. Hope not. It all gets commoditized eventually, so maybe, honestly, maybe, but I hope not. Actually, I'm gonna be dead honest with you. If the war in Ukraine ended today, 3 to 5 years from now, having a game about it, I think is so normal it would happen. I actually think that would 100% happen. I shouldn't have any faith that wouldn't happen. That would happen. Didn't they make a Nicolas Cage movie about 9/11 like a year after 9/11? Am I crazy? Wasn't there a 9/11 Hollywood movie with Nicolas Cage? When did that happen? 2006. Okay, 5 years after. So right about this, yeah. 5 years after 9/11, there was a Nick Cage 9/11 movie. Was it tasteful or like a comedy? There's a fucking middle ground. It wasn't tasteful, I think, to have a 9/11 movie 5 years after. It wasn't an open comedy. It wasn't like Nicolas Cage being like, what are those planes doing? Oh! It was a serious movie, but it wasn't tasteful to do. They're already making Luigi Mangione documentaries, and it happened just 4 months ago. Yeah, I mean, the pipeline from event happening in real life to like streaming service special documentary on it has gotten shockingly short. Yeah, the story's not even over. Genuine question, big A. Everything I learned about America and its economy just paints a bleak picture of the future. And as an outside observer, I feel like I'd like to go anywhere else but America right now. Have you ever thought about immigrating to another country? Just interesting because you seem like quite calm, confident. Well, first of all, let me say that my situation economically is not standard. So it's a little easier for me to be calm and confident. I have to just admit that up front, because if you don't talk about it, it's insane to ignore. But what I want to say is I want to be real here. I haven't seriously looked into leaving the country, as I mentioned with that Aiden and I talk show we did. I'm generally of the opinion that I want to stay in America and try to fight for America and try to make it better. And I feel American, you know, just even though I grew up in different countries, I feel American. The one thing that made me seriously consider it was this strategic crypto reserve. If that actually happens, right now it's just a tweet. There's no evidence that it's going to get created or they're going to spend taxpayer money on it. But if that actually happens, it would again cause me to, I'm less concerned about where I live and more of like, I would need to reduce my exposure to the dollar extremely. If I saw that US dollars were being printed or borrowed to buy crypto, I would just do whatever I can to get out of the US financial system because I wouldn't trust it. But however, my longer point is this. I need to be real here. If you are leaving America to search for this glorious, better economy, you're gonna have a harder time finding it than you think. The slowdown problems are worldwide. If you're in Canada, they are pissed about their economy right now. If you're in Mexico, they're pissed about their economy. I mean, yes, they are. There's things that are more uptrendy in certain parts. If you're in Australia, if you're in the UK, if you're in Germany, if you're in even France, there's nice things about France, but still, everyone is feeling an economic malaise. A slowdown, harder to get jobs, expensive housing. The Nordic countries, they're still pissed about certain changes, but they have a little bit of safety net. They're harder to get citizenship in. It's difficult for you to go live in Norway and get a part of that sovereign wealth fund, okay? So I just want you to know that it's not like it's like America is doing terribly and everyone else is rosy. It's like we're at the end of a global debt cycle that's like, uh-oh, now everything's all creaky and bad and your back hurts. And the problems are starting to mount, which is leading to like political change and stressful time. It's an unfortunate period to get hot potatoed into. You guys should have been born as a 70s straight white male. That would have been a really good choice in America. You would have had a much easier 30, 40 years, but you kind of f***ed that one up. I do believe we'll figure it all out. Not that it won't be messy in the middle, but I do believe we'll figure it all out. Humanity's done it before in much worse spots. Did you see they give a break on tariffs for Ford and GM? Yeah, dude, because it's like, dude, if you're making a car in North America, even at a Ford plant or whatever, okay, right here, you like ship the engine here to get the pistons added, then ship it back here to get the steel changed out, and then it goes to Mexico to add the tires or whatever, and then it goes, you know what I'm saying? Like the car crosses the border like 7 times before it's done. And so the tariffs were getting applied every time. It was literally impossible for auto manufacturers in North America to function. So they did an exemption for autos today because it was like just a disaster. Where's the Gulf of America? Oh, dear God. Woke map? USA, baby. Thank God. And this should be the North. Well, this should be the Trump Ocean. And the Caribbean Sea just sounds wrong. It should be the no DEI C. Where is Mount Trump? I think you should buy Mount Everest and rename it Mount Trump. Anyway, this map's pretty out of date. You know, we're gonna need to expand the border up here a bit. Don't make the 51st state joke is beneath you. So funny that I was talking with someone about this today. I was talking with a Canadian about this today, and they were like, I really liked the 51st state jokes until Trump started repeating them so much. And now I'm like, I don't like the jokes anymore. I actually think we should stop doing them. Which is fair. I think in good faith, I am not trying to launch an invasion into Canada, but I do see how it would be annoying to have your southern neighbor question your sovereignty openly when you don't have nuclear weapons. But however, it happens to me all the time with Dan Clancy, and I don't make jokes about it. I constantly have Dan Clancy talking about, haha, what if we annexed your house and put it into Clancyville? And it's like, Clancy, that's not funny. But you have nukes, though? Call them left and right. Yeah, Dan Clancy's great. He's just a really, 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 really devoted leader, you know, to his town. And that could be admirable to some. I had to tell my boy he had to think more about his edgy jokes because nowadays just sound like actual things people say. This happened to me recently. It was at Genesis where I was walking around with the Let's Go Brandon, with my Let's Go Brandon flask. Because Evan Gao gave this to me. I thought it was so funny. So I'm like taking swigs out of my Let's Go Brandon flask. And then I was like, wait a minute. Like, this is easily misinterpreted. This easily is misinterpreted. It's not like, to me, it's an obvious joke, but if you don't know me. Yeah, I'm too MAGA coated with this flannel.